Hello and welcome to the seventh edition of the Virtual SG series. This trip covers arts in Singapore by making stops at Esplanade Theatres, National Gallery, and Singapore River. This tour will be of interest to persons who are curious about the development of the local art scene, highlights of key arts institutions, and some public arts installations at touristic areas along the historic district. As a young immigrant nation less than 60 years into independence, the culture and arts of Singapore has its origins elsewhere. Beginning with the founding of Singapore as a British trading settlement, people came from China, India, and the Malaysian and Indonesian archipelago seeking opportunities. With them came their arts, culture, and traditions that over time develops into a very Singaporean sense. It is this art that we will explore today. We begin with Esplanade Theatres on the Bay. This name is not a grammatical mistake because the theatres sit on reclaimed land from the bay. The building was completed and opened in 2002, but the idea for having a performing arts centre began in 1992. At that time, as with major performing arts centres in the world, there was this trend of making the building scream out its artistic nature through architecture. Also, a common consequence of this was controversy from the public over the same matter. The winning design achieved both easily, with its two totally glass houses or otherwise dome-shaped greenhouses. The public criticized the design for being insensitive to the tropical setting. Had the government gone ahead with the original design, this building would probably win hands down for the nation's most ungreen and energy-hungry building. Fortunately, some sense of logic prevailed with the addition of 7,000 triangular pieces of aluminium sunshade cladding over the glass panels. It was by sheer coincidence that doing so made the building resemble our national fruit and king of fruits, the durian, and this common name thus stuck. The centerpieces of the Esplanade Theatres are its 2,000-seat theatre and 1,600-seat concert hall. As the theatres are intended to foster the development of Singaporean identity through art, it is different from other performing arts theatres in its accessibility to all levels of society. This can be seen in how many areas of the building are open for the events, performances, and arts installations, such as its main atrium and in the outdoor theatre. There is also a public library on its third floor. It might surprise you to know that this $600 million building was funded by proceeds from the Singapore sweepstakes. While Esplanade Theatres on the Bay emphasizes performance arts, the National Gallery focuses more on the visual, being home to many paintings by artists from Singapore and the region. The National Gallery is a more recent project that came to fruition in 2015 after the executive and judiciary branches of government vacated the buildings. On the left is the old Supreme Court building of Singapore from 1939 to 2005. On the right is the old municipal building and later City Hall from 1929 to 2006. The two buildings were built during the most prosperous times of the settlement under British administration. Nevertheless, they were designed with grandeur in mind but budget at hand. While the buildings may appear to be a masonry of quarried stone, they are actually Shanghai plaster. The tympanum of the former Supreme Court is Lady Justice, who, in contrast to others, is not blindfolded, but still holding a scale. The friezes at the porch capture key economic activities of the colony and its origins. However, at the former City Hall, the steps before its four stone columns bear greater significance to seniors of Singapore. On these steps in 1945, World War II came to an end as Allied forces received the surrender of the Japanese army. Also on these steps, Singapore was free from the British and proclaimed a state of Malaysia in 1963. All of these events, no doubt, have an impact on the psyche of Singaporeans and their identity. It was thus befitting that the two buildings would then house the National Gallery, a store of Singaporean art. In contrast to Esplanade Theatres, which was built for its purpose, the National Gallery had the challenge of retrofitting two historical buildings to suit this intent. The result is an atrium veiled by perforated gold aluminium panels that make the entrance of the gallery. In this way, it favors neither building over the other. On the outside, two buildings become one, while on the inside, link bridges connect either buildings without impacting on their architectural features. The sloping link bridges are further evidence of the original separateness of these two buildings, being built on different foundation levels. The Supreme Court section houses the Southeast Asian art collection, amidst preserved features of the courtroom and detention cells. The City Hall section has a level dedicated to kids' special exhibitions and the Singapore Art Collection. While here, also check out the restored City Hall chambers. A free multisensory presentation, City Hall, If Walls Could Talk, captures significant events in the chamber and as of this video's production, is still running. In the early 2000s, developers and urban planners began to take an interest in the use of art installations as a way of adding character to the environment. Those beginning years thus saw a proliferation of spaces and pieces competing for the attention of a passerby. Our focus for this section will be on the set of bronze sculptures along the Singapore River, which was commissioned to various local artists under the theme People of the River. Beginning at the foot of Anderson Bridge are three figures: a South Indian moneylender, a Chinese clerk, and a trader. While this would not be a common sight in public, it represents a snapshot of the going-ons in the merchant houses of yesterday and today, such as in the offices across the river at Raffles Place or Commercial Square. Stevedores would carry goods on and off boats docked by the banks, providing the hard labour to enhance their calculative boss' wealth further. These men were known as coolies, and he is identified by the work tool behind his pants, the hook for grasping sacks. Across the bridge is a more innocent work comprising children jumping into the water. This was an activity indulged in by natives of the land who were living off the river long before the arrival of shipping and commerce. A popular sculpture among tourists is this scene involving a bullock cart, Chinese trader, Malay chief, and Scottish merchant Alexander Laurie Johnston. It stands at the site of the latter's former warehouse, and would seem like they were all turned into bronze one fine day 200 years ago, in the middle of a transaction. Besides installations by local artists, building owners also commissioned works to international artists. At UOB Plaza is a fat bird produced by Fernando Botero, and an abstract figure of a man by Salvador Dali. When viewed from a resident's perspective, arts in Singapore is not limited to the above domains. Traditionally speaking, customs and traditions keep the art of lion dance and digibarat alive. Seniors find joy in line dancing as a recreation. These are the art forms that residents find greater attachment to. The focus on the contemporary is a governmental construct, an initiative that continues to require external funding and support. Such funding and support may come with terms and conditions limiting the freedom of the artist's expression. It is supposed to place the country on par with other artistic nations in the Western world, but until it becomes necessary in the form of custom or recreation, these installations are likely to remain just ornaments on the road that add a touch of variation to roadside trees and lamps.